McLaren is wary about Red Bull delivering an unpleasant surprise in Formula 1 this year by taking a significant stride forward with their 2024 car. But next to that, they are also accusing Red Bull of cheating in a way, as their sister team is moving to the UK. This could mean in more knowledge and resources for the team, even though it's forbidden. While Red Bull has downplayed the possibility of it being as dominant in front of the competition as it was last year, when it won all but one race, its competitors are not taking anything for granted, especially now that their second team has relocated to the UK as well. And McLaren, who finished the year as Red Bull's most consistent competitor, is particularly more concerned about the situation because it knows the world champion team halted construction of their 2023 car early. That means that Red Bull may have been able to focus on some significant advancements for its 2024 car that has yet to be revealed in public. McLaren CEO Zak Brown remarked at the presentation of McLaren's 2024 livery that his team aimed to compete with Red Bull this year, but that they needed to be realistic. "Clearly, we want to continue to close the gap," he went on to say. "We finished up last year as the second or third quickest team, depending on what circuit you were at. Car development has been strong, but Red Bull certainly seems like they didn't develop last year to the level they could if they wanted to. So that could be an unpleasant surprise for all of us." McLaren is confident in the good data it is receiving from its simulation facilities, both wind tunnel and CFD, on the progress it has made with its 2024 MCL 38 car. However, team head Andrea Stella has reiterated Brown's caution about the increase in performance expressing itself in improved track performances, especially because he knows Red Bull would not have stood still during the winter. "When it comes to competitiveness on track, this depends on what the opposition has done," he said. "When we think specifically about Red Bull, there's one element that obviously I think puts everyone in doubt as to what's going to happen in 2024. It's the fact that they haven't developed their car very much towards the end of last year. So the question is, have they cashed in and accumulated development that they will capitalize on to next year's car? This is my theory. I can't think that Red Bull were not in condition to develop their car, so they might have decided not to deliver upgrades. Certainly, this may mean that their gradient of improvement kept going." He added, "I would say Red Bull should be extremely competitive, and we will see where we are, and we will see what kind of challenge we will be able to set on track. But, for us, it's important that we see we are doing a good job out of our own performance development. We are confident that, if we keep doing this, over time we have an opportunity to close the gap. So that's our vision for the future." But next to that, McLaren is worried about Red Bull owning two teams, and McLaren CEO Zak Brown has urged the FIA and Formula 1 officials to prioritize addressing serious concerns about the fairness of Red Bull and AlphaTauri's close relations. As part of an attempt to improve the fortunes of the soon-to-be renamed AlphaTauri squad, owner Red Bull has changed its leadership and infrastructure. AlphaTauri will be accepting additional customer components from Red Bull, as well as increasing its presence on its parent team's Milton Keynes site. McLaren CEO Brown, who has already spoken out on the matter, outlined why he wants intervention to ensure teams operate their own engine projectly of one another in the future. With the cost cap helping to level up performance, the fight behind Red Bull, especially in 2023, appears to be as tight as ever. The McLaren CEO feels having two teams on the grid working in such close quarters poses a serious issue for sporting fairness. "The thing I would like to see us focus on as a sport is where we sit on the regulation side with the AB team co-ownership," Brown said. "I believe it's a serious issue for the fairness of the sport for the fans. That's why it's pretty much not allowed in any other form of major sport. I'd like to see us, as an industry, focus on that before it gets to a level of being where Formula 1 once was, which is very out of balance because people are playing by the rules, but a different set of rules." Brown expressed concern about the situation following speculations that the entire AlphaTauri organization may relocate from its present Italian headquarters to be closer to Red Bull. AlphaTauri is, from what I understand, moving to the UK, which I think will benefit both teams, he added. So, this AB team and co-ownership, which is a whole other level of AB team, is a big concern to ours for the health of the sport and the fairness of the sport. When these team cooperation rules were put in place, the sport was in a different place. We had a huge gap between people like ourselves who had huge budgets and smaller teams. Now everybody's pretty much at the cap, if not at the cap. So I think everyone's playing with the same size of bat, to use a baseball term, and therefore that's not necessary. but it might give someone an unfair advantage, and I think that's something we need to tackle with the sport quickly. Brown's appeal to action comes amid tense ties between the FIA and the teams following some contentious acts by the regulatory body's president, Mohammed Ben Sulayem. This includes the FIA's decision before Christmas to go public with an inquiry into a suspected conflict of interest between Mercedes chief Toto Wolff and wife Susie, only to withdraw it 48 hours later due to lack of evidence. That move has opened the door to prospective legal action from the Wolffs, who were quite critical of the FIA's conduct and the reputational harm they suffered. Brown expressed his hope that the FIA and F1 might work together more effectively in the future. As far as the FIA and Formula One leadership is concerned, we just would like to see that relationship progress in a more unified way, he went on to say. I think they both want to do what's best for the sport, which is a great place to be centered. The big question is if the FIA will step in if Red Bull are doing some shady business in their headquarters from now on. If the sister team does suddenly rise to the top of the midfield, question will be asked if the growth was organically or in any way influenced by moving over to the UK. And next to that project, Red Bull are in for a big task with their own engine project. And if this turns out to be a failure, the team will be doomed from 2026 on. And Christian Horner is on board with that, as he feels Red Bull's brave choice to launch its own engine project must succeed when they transition to their own power units in 2026. The project has been underway for the past 2 years, with Red Bull opting to build its own internal combustion engines with Ford, which will manufacture the electric MGU component of their power units. Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko has previously indicated that there is no plan B if their RBPT engines do not perform as planned, which may influence Max Verstappen's choice of staying with the team. Horner is optimistic that they will complete the task, given the Dutchman's high standards at times. I don't think it's just about Max. We're all very impatient in Formula One, Horner said. Everybody wants to be competitive. It's a massive undertaking. It's a ballsy undertaking that we've taken on, but we believe that it's the right route for the company, for the future. Horner said the team is now focused on fulfilling their deadline before adding the engine to their 2026 Challenger. It's busy. There's 24 months before that engine will be being bolted into the back of the RB22, he said. It's not that long in the engine world, so there's still an awful lot more to do in a very short period of time. But I'm confident that we've got the right people and we can get there. Ferrari is said to have already built and tested the first generation of their 2026 engine. Horner was tight-lipped about their present development, but he was eager to compliment the effort done so far. We're not going to go into detail yet of where we're at, but we're on a trajectory, he said. But we've got a lot of ground to cover and a lot of ground to make up. We're competing against manufacturers that have decades of experience. Red Bull, 30 months ago, this project was still embryonic. So what's been achieved in 13 months has been outstanding. What are your thoughts? Are Red Bull going to be able to create an engine worthy of winning F1 races? And what about their partnership with their sister team? Could they really send over some of Red Bull's design secrets to the team without the others noticing? And is it even fair that one company owns 2 F1 teams at the same time? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below.